Hey guys, this is J-Boy from the J-Boy Show. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's a free way to make podcasts. It's unbelievable. It's how I started. Number one, like I said, it's free. Number two, it gives you creative tools to be able to add to your podcast, whether it be background music and all type of stuff. Three, they can get it on Spotify, Apple. You can get paid with sponsorships just by using ads, very similar to this one. So, download the free Anchor app, guys. It's unbelievable. You'll love it. And at the end of the day, it can get you started. All right. See you soon. Hope everybody's doing well this Thursday, April 23rd morning. Really excited about a new segment. I'm going to be dropping probably twice a week. This isn't counting the episode that we drop once a week. So what I'm hoping is to be able to drop a full episode pretty much on Mondays or Tuesdays. And I want to start introducing what I call a segment called Intel. Obviously, we all know what Intel is militarily, but it's really any inside information that you have. And really, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, from the recruiting standpoint, being in coaching for so long and being in so many high schools and really meeting a lot of handlers around the country, you really kind of create almost a database for recruits for yourself. And that's something I'm really looking forward to tapping into. And the crazy thing is, this one actually reached out to me. This week's Intel segment, it's going to be less than 15 minutes. I don't want to keep it too long because I want to focus it on one subject, whether it be one recruit, one happening in SEC sports that maybe, I'm pretty knowledgeable of. Just something that's kind of in my forte that I can really bring you guys something that nobody else can really bring you from that perspective. So getting into it, I'm never going to reveal a source's name, obviously. But this one, he actually reached out to me. I coached him at Fort Scott Junior College in Kansas. He was a safety for me, and currently, at least according to him, and it doesn't surprise me, he was a hell of a player. He's the starter right now at a pretty high-level HBCU. So he's actually Greg Brown's first cousin. He reached out to me. He saw a tweet that I had wondering where Greg Brown was going to go, and actually reached out to me, and we caught up and actually gave me some information that, obviously I know he's telling the truth, and he's got no reason to call me up and lie to me. So I think he's just returning the favor because he really wanted to sign and get out of junior college. I'm really proud of him, and he's a grinder. He's a hell of a kid, and he's going to make it regardless. But really want to start with about what he told me, kind of how this recruitment has developed over the past 2.5 to 3 weeks. And obviously with Greg making his decision, literally tomorrow, it's nice to have a little backstory. And here's what he told me. All right. And he told me 2 weeks ago, it was Auburn and Texas. 50-50. He said G League's not in the picture or anything like that. It's Auburn and Texas 50-50. He said that Greg has really formed a relationship, with the Texas coaching staff. And the dad has a great relationship with Bruce. But he also told me that Greg really likes Bruce a lot. So my biggest thing on that is saying they're even puts Auburn in a pretty good spot. Because obviously Texas was the leader for a while and Auburn kind of climbed back in there. Well, he told me that at the beginning of last week, he actually said that Texas jumped Auburn a little bit, said he thought it was 60-40 Texas, had just been over to his house. I think they played 2K or whatever. And again, this isn't just like one of his, 70 people that he says his cousins, like we all do, that say, hey, this is my cousin when he's really my friend. These guys are actually legitimately cousins. And once Greg Brown makes his decision, I will say the kid's name. I'll say the source's name. Just obviously so you guys know, there's no tomfoolery, which there isn't. I just don't want, number one, to ruin the kid's announcement. And number two, screw over a former player of mine to where his cousin hates him. So I don't want to do that before the decision. I will after the decision in the next Intel segment. All right, so he said last week it was Texas 60-40, and the G League had kind of started to talk to him, but they weren't really interested in it unless they got a certain number. Well, it kind of gets crazy here. He said coming to this week that on Tuesday, the G League pretty much made their final offer. He said it wasn't $200,000, said it was under $200,000. He said it does come with insurance, but he said the dad, his uncle, is not sold on the G League compared to what they call the Zion path, which is to build your brand in college for a year, saying that equates to more money when you actually go to the actual NBA. Now, they're offering Greg under $200,000. They offered Jalen $500,000. Jalen, you got to take that. And he did. I think Greg, and at least what my guy said, it's not, the G League isn't nearly as overwhelming of a favorite or pick or even contender, all right, as what everybody thought for Jalen Green. So he says early this week, it was Texas 60, Auburn 30, G League 10%. Well, he actually sent me a DM this morning on Twitter because I told him, dude, if anything changes, just let me know, kind of send me in the right direction, whatever. Well, early this morning, he sent me a DM that he said he thinks all three are even, and the dad is keeping Auburn in it. Let me say that again. He said last night, thinks all three are even, and the dad is keeping Auburn in it. Now, I sent him a message back, and I asked him if he could expand, if Greg didn't want to go to Auburn, if it was the dad wanting him to go and him not wanting to go, which happens a lot. And he replied to me and said, no, it's getting close. So obviously Greg's probably going to make his decision today. But as of right now, from a very, very close family source, they're saying all three are even. The dad is keeping Auburn in it. Now, something that he told me the first time I talked to him, and I actually mentioned this on the bunker at auburnsports.com, is that I think the dad is going to make the decision. Well, in my first exchange with my source, he basically said the exact same thing. The dad will make the final decision. So, as opposed to early this week, when I got a Texas 60%, Auburn 30%, G League 10%, obviously something has happened, and if that G League offer hasn't changed, then it's got to be between Auburn and Texas, and if he's putting them at even, and the dad really likes Auburn, I think Auburn has a chance here, a better chance than what they thought going into this week. Now, at the end of the day, if the dad is making the decision, just like I talked about in my Kicking Off podcast, Bruce had to put the pieces around the dad. So when it came to this point, and you make the bet of the dad is going to make the decision, well, then you have to go full bore after the dad as well, if not even more than the kid. So again, just like the jump and the timeline, I'll hit it one more time. 2 weeks ago, Auburn and Texas tied. Last week, Texas 60%, Auburn 40%, lean in Texas. Early this week, Texas 60%, Auburn 30%, G League 10%. Last night, early this morning, all three are even, and the dad is keeping Auburn in it. G League not offering over $200,000. He's going to let me know if the G League offer goes up, because I think that's going to have a huge impact on the decision. But if you're Bruce Pearl and you're Auburn, or really if you're Shaka Smart and you're Texas, I'm sure they have inside information that's telling them probably more than what I have, obviously. But you've got to almost feel it's 50-50 here. Now, my prediction, and I'll do this every time we have a recruit on the Intel segment. My prediction right now stands with Texas. I think right now it is Texas. That could change today, this afternoon, tonight, early in the morning. It could change. But right now, I do have Greg Brown going to Texas. But if I'm an Auburn fan, and something I want to make sure you guys realize, all right, because I know a lot of my listeners are Auburn fans, and I love that. But I'm always going to tell you the facts that I get. I am not going to rose-colored glass, orange and blue tint glass, anything that I get, because that's not what you guys want. I could sit here and make stuff up and make you feel better about every recruit Auburn's on. But I'm not going to do that, because number one, it's a disservice to you, and I obviously want to keep the integrity that what I am getting is actual information. It doesn't have to be passed through 4 different people. It's coming straight to me. and then I'm deciphering it as smartly as I can to you guys. But I'm not going to say, oh, he's going to Auburn, when I don't think he's going to Auburn. And that way, every time you check into an Intel segment or every time you check in to an episode on the podcast, you know, hey, man, I'm going to actually get the truth. The truth. If I think a kid's going to Bama, I'm going to say I think he's going to Bama. If I think Greg Brown's going to Texas, I'm going to say he's going to Texas. But I'll also tell you the truth on the Auburn side if they're on the outside looking in. Like, to be honest with you, I think Auburn is a big dark horse for Greg Brown. Would I be shocked if Greg Brown picked Auburn? No. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I could get a DM 2 hours from now saying it's Auburn. Would not be surprised. But as of right now, I'm going to say I'll put it at Texas 60, Auburn 40. I'm taking the G League out of it unless I get something that the offer went up. Now, if I do get something saying the offer went up, I'm not going to reshoot the Intel segment. I'm just going to post it on Twitter. And that's at The J Boy Show. On Spotify, at The J Boy Show. So again, I really appreciate you guys listening. I know this is short, but I wanted to make it short and sweet and get right to the point. Greg Brown, I think, to Texas. Auburn's creeping up, but I'm going to keep you guys updated. Make sure, you're checking on Twitter and all that stuff. And again, appreciate you guys tuning in. This is J Boy's first Intel segment, and J Boy is out.